I will start recording. 1 second.
Hang on a second.
Do you want to explain to people first that you're going to record it?
Yeah. Alex, Jamie, you're okay with this recording, aren't you? Yeah, cool. So Alex is doing the live streaming on YouTube in the background. So Jenny, if anybody else comes in while we're chatting, if you don't mind, letting them in. So yeah, if you start recording, I'll go into a bit of a spiel about me, about introducing industry insights, and then we'll get into the questions, John. Okay.
Okay. Fab. All right, then I'm going to record in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon and welcome to Industry Insights. My name is Gethin Roberts and I'm from Iterate, a purpose-driven product design consultancy based here in the UK. And today I'm here with Jon Prescott from Cavefish. Hello, Jon.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing today?
Good. Looking forward to this event.
So have you had a busy morning?
Yeah, it's always frantic. The life of an entrepreneur, you never know where a conversation is going to take you. So I've spent most of today researching depression and been talking to an expert up in Lancashire, of all places. So it's one moment it's marketing, next minute it's defence, next minute it's depression. You never know where the conversation is going to take you.
So that's a really good segue into Cavefish. So who you represent and what you offer as a business. Can you talk to me about your product and the software platform that you've created?
Sure. So we've built a software platform that measures emotions. So it measures up to 52 emotions. It's multimodal. So we measure emotions in text, images, voice, and video. So it's a multimodal system. So loads of use cases, as you'd expect. Anything from, is my marketing working? How are people engaging with my social channels, all the way through to customer services, identifying vulnerability, all the way through to threat detection and seeing if people are actually lying. There's a huge amount of use cases.
So how do you mention there about being able to measure the human emotions of marketing materials? So how does that work exactly? So can you talk through an example maybe of how what you could actually gain from measuring human emotions and how you'd actually go about doing that?
Yeah, so as I said, we measure up to 52 emotions in text, images, voice, and video. Yeah, so we could be recording this conversation right now. We could be recording this Teams conversation,
okay.
And then we could be saying, okay, Gethin is showing signs of confusion, excitement, joy, and you could gauge the conversation accordingly. Now that's especially powerful if you're neurospicy, so if you're ADHD, ADD, maybe English isn't your first language. Instead of having to, sit and listen to a standard script, we could be dynamic with that script. We could be saying, okay, Gethin is showing signs of confusion. Let's slow down a little bit. Let's explain it once more. So there's a huge amount of benefits just through automation of it. And it's not to say, we're not about replacing human beings. That's not what we're about. We're about augmenting human beings. How can we actually sort of pick up things at scale and help conversations flow easier?
So then practically how does that work then? So you sit somebody in front of a webcam and you're locked in on their face presumably, and you're measuring small changes in facial expression to be able then to marry that up with one or numerous number of the 52 emotions that you've talked about.
Yeah, so that's video. Yeah, so that's one of the modes. So we could be actually, watching somebody via a camera, with their permission, obviously, and measuring micro muscle movements, But equally, we could just be listening to voice on a telephone call and actually listening to what's being said, how it's being said, all the way through to just written communication. So, we could be analysing marketing copy. So you might write an article once and then say, okay, this is meant for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is thought leadership. So therefore, what emotions do I want to invoke? And the system will rewrite that copy for you.
Okay, that's pretty incredible. So how did you actually get to this point? So how did you even identify that this was a potential opportunity to create a platform like this using artificial intelligence? How did you identify that in the first place? Because this feels like quite a game-changing technology that you've created.
Yeah, so this is an age-old problem. We've always been chasing why do people do things, and if you think about what we measure, we're always measuring lag indicators.
Okay.
So we measure things like how many people went to my website, how many sales did I make today, how many complaints that I received today. They're all lagging indicators. Nobody is measuring the why behind it. And it's really, really hard, because to get to the why, people turn to surveys, they do user testing, user groups, and they're all fraught with problems. I call it the ugly baby syndrome. If you're paid to do something, you're never going to tell the truth. And I've run countless workshops where, nobody really tells you the truth, because they get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's massively labor intensive. When I worked in insurance, we did a lot of user testing. But even then, it was probably 12 workshops a year. It wasn't in the overall scheme of things. This was a $10 billion turnover company.
Right.
So even when you're doing it at scale, you're still only doing a little bit. So it's been a problem. It's been a problem for decades. How do we measure why people do things? And it's only really with the advent of certainly Gen AI and the last sort of 3-4 years that we've had the tech to actually do something about it. Mm-hmm. So we set out on a challenge. Can we actually sort of measure emotions? So we start off with a supervised model. So humans would describe images, and then we move to an unsupervised model where AI would learn the patterns. And we've built a system now that measures up to 52 emotions. So it's quite a lot. Most systems detect 5 or 6.
Okay.
We've managed to go much deeper.
Yeah.
Which really gives you the flavor. So we could be having a conversation. We were at a show last week, and the show was amazing. The coffee was mediocre, and the transportation was terrible. So you can have different emotions in the same sentence. Whereas most systems will say, are they a detractor or promoter? It's happy or sad. Whereas we go into the detail, and the secret is in the detail. There's a difference between watching, TV in black and white versus watching it in 4K Ultra HD. It's all about the detail. So yeah.
So your system must be based on a huge amount of data. So you talked about like an assisted trial to be able to collect those human emotions, if you can describe it in that way, but collect those facial changes. So how many people did you interview, if you kind of examined, to be able to get to the point where that can now work consistently and repeatably? Because presumably there's difference in origin, face shape, all of these sorts of variables that the system has to be able to navigate. So the data set that must be based on is potentially huge.
It's a huge data set, millions of data points across both interviews, videos, static images, text. So we've got multiple models at play here. It's been trained on 6 countries, 14 cultures, and to your point, certain cultures respond very differently. Just look at Putin. Putin's a good example. Russians are very stoic, as are Japanese, so they don't tend to give much away in terms of facial emotion. But we've got the model up to 92% accuracy, anything between 87 and 92%. Humans running 90% accurate on average. So the key thing here is its scalability. It's not about replacing humans, but it's being able to look at every single bit of data 24/7, and it never gets tired. It doesn't miss stuff. But I really want to reinforce this is a data layer. This is about saying to a human being, this is interesting, you should look at it. And not, computer says no, that's not the game we're in.
Okay, so data security and protection of privacy and people's profiles is, it's a keen discussion in AI just generally, but this is really focusing on, the individual's the facial expressions and the outputs, written text, whatever that might be. So what do you say to people that are concerned about data privacy when they're interacting with your system?
Yeah, so we do everything by the book. We're fully GDPR compliant. We also worked the EU AI Act, which is more stringent.
Okay.
And everything is permission based. First of all, so we don't do anything without the user's agreement, especially biometrics. The second point is we're not actually recording faces; we're recording emotions. So if we were to analyze this conversation, it would just be a JSON output file with a bunch of numbers in it. It doesn't say this is Gethin, this is Jon. That's not what we do. But it's incredibly important to put that ethical overlay on it. It's the number of conversations we've had where we could use this in meetings to see if people are lying. So well. The tech you could, but as a customer, we probably wouldn't go there. Oh, you definitely wouldn't go there. Because the question is of ethics, not of technology. We've got some really clever tech now, and it's important that we use it ethically, responsibly, and AI for good, not AI for evil. And once we start talking about that, the barriers come down. Then people stop worrying so much about Terminator and Black Mirror and everything else being cited when it comes to AI.
Yeah. Okay, so in a second I just want to come on to the business journey so far and how you've kind of got to where you've got to, but just before we do, one point that you mentioned at the start is the wide variety of industry applications that this could be applied to. I think you mentioned defense and healthcare as some examples there. So people that maybe are interested in finding out more about how EchoDep software could be applied to their sector, what do they do? Where can they go? Is there free trials available? How does all of that piece work?
Yeah, so reach out to me on LinkedIn, Jon Prescott, or just go to our website, cavefish.co.uk. The way we're approaching the market is, every customer is unique. So we talk about the use cases, we talk about exactly what the problem is, before we put a solution together. What we do with all our clients is proof of concepts, to understand the business, make sure it's a really, really good fit, and using their data. You may have a data set which is slightly irregular, so you want to make sure that the data is tuned to your audience. So if anybody has a use case on I want to understand people better at scale, then drop me a line.
Okay, brilliant. So what I wanted to come on to now is that within our sector, everybody's talking about AI, and we're focused on physical product development, but even so, nearly every customer inquiry and project that we're talking about at the moment involves a level of artificial intelligence. So it sounds as if what you've created fulfills it solves a real problem. It sounds as if there's a real need here and a huge application for the software. But because there is so much demand and there are so many people that are wanting to leverage AI in every aspect of their business, what can you talk about the journey? Because it sounds as if this is a successful AI experience so far. So how long has the business been going? How did you get to this point? How have you how did you create this software? How have you funded it? I think people would be interested in knowing a bit more about the journey so far and how long you've been going.
Yeah, so Cavefish has been going for circa 2 years. It's fully bootstrapped, and it's been purposely done like that because we wanted to test the market, make sure we had really good market. So we've been through multiple iterations, just saying, what do you think? And in the very early days, those were just PowerPoint presentations. We didn't commit to code. We said, we've got this idea. If we built it, would it be of interest to you? And over the course of hundreds of conversations, you start to develop, what does MVP look like? I think this is startup number 5 for me. So I've got lots of bruises and battle scars along the way as to and the big learning for me is get to prototype quickly and fail fast. And I know people say that all the time, but it's about iterate, which is a nice segue into your company name. But essentially it's about you never know what the feature or function that is really going to shine. And sometimes the most boring things, like on your list, are the things that will ignite people. Because it'll be like, that's the problem, that's the thing that's taken me 7 hours a day. So don't overthink it. Get in front of as many people as you can. Talk about your solution. Ideally, get some early adopters. Even if it's a prototype, it's going to be ugly. I'm looking for people to help me build it. You're prepared to give me a little bit of money just to keep the development team going. So our journey to date has been entirely bootstrapped. We've had a small amount of very loyal customers who've helped us on that journey, and now we're ready. We launched it circa 3 months ago, and now we're actually on a raise now, ready for scaling.
Right. Okay. So if there are any maybe VCs or angel investors then that see this on LinkedIn or maybe live on YouTube, what is your proposition to those people?
So we are building Wales's first unicorn.
Wow.
Wales doesn't have a unicorn yet. We're going to be the first one. So it's an aggressive growth strategy over 5 years. And it's more than achievable, given the opportunity we've got here. So if there are any investors who would love to find out more, get in touch. I'll send my pack out. So
what I'm interested in really understanding is, how did you know that this was the right direction to go down? Because I think the challenge that maybe lots of people have got right now is because it is in many ways so easy to create new ideas, to create functional prototypes, whether that be physical or software prototypes, that you can just stay in that loop of development and go from one idea to another idea. So how did you really know when you were going through that fail fast loop, as you describe it, that actually this was really, you kind of struck gold and this is the direction that the company needed to take then at that point?
So I don't think it is as binary as that. I think you have different shades of what does good look like. So when you do the initial mock-ups and you show it multiple times to multiple groups of people, you're looking for an average. You're looking for which slide really got their attention. And we're still going through that cycle. That cycle never ends.
Okay.
On a daily basis, I'll have an idea. and they form a list and they move around on that list, depending on what reception I'm getting. So I don't think you should hang your hat on one idea, especially in the AI world, because the traditional model was you built a company, you got funding, you'd sell it within 5 to 10 years. That entire thing has just been derailed. You need to spin up things quick, and if they succeed, fantastic, move on to the next idea, and if they fail, kill it. Because you are only an update away from being made redundant, not just from the LLMs, but other people using no-code platforms. If you don't have a wide data moat, somebody could take your idea and just spin it up with more marketing budget. So
okay, that's a scary thought.
It is, but as long as you're aware of it, the thing that you need to think about, what's going to give you differentiation, what's the thing that's going to give you defensibility, because somebody will come along with a bigger marketing budget, so think about that carefully. And it's all very well having patents and IP protection and everything else, but if you haven't got the money to go to court and challenge somebody, the entire thing's a moot point. So think carefully about what is it that you have that's different.
So an expression that I keep hearing more and more now is data is the new oil. So would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. That's the proprietary bit in most applications, is the data. That's the thing people can't steal or replicate. So yeah, as a company, we see huge value in the data, especially proprietary emotional data sets. So yeah, it's I'm not sure if you're allowed to use the oil analogy in the land of electric cars, but it's certainly the thing that has value for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So at Iterate, we're interested in primarily developing physical products, and we were talking earlier about the impending product that's being developed by OpenAI with Sam Altman and Johnny Ive, and there's a few design concepts that have been put out on the internet that suggest what this product will look like. It's not actually clear what it will do, but presumably it links into ChatGPT. So I'm interested in really understanding, that transition into physical products. Is there anything that you're particularly excited about that maybe could be linked to Acadep, your platform, or just generally, physical products that do incorporate AI? Because it feels as if we're kind of on this precipice of new products that are about to be launched that do incorporate AI. So is there anything that you're particularly excited about seeing come to market?
Yeah, I think it's the fusion of interfaces, especially with the wearables. It's getting really interesting. And the new earpods that came out from Apple, they've got auto-translate in them. I'm not sure how many. I think it's only 3 languages at the moment.
Okay.
But things like that, it's game changing, isn't it? It's being able to go to a different country and maybe not have a conversation, but at least be understood. So I love the fusion of hardware and software, and we're big fans of smart glasses. How do you actually interpret communications, turn them into a visual, display them? And the use cases are wide and varied. At the moment, they're using things like translation, or when you're given a speech up on stage, having a little transcription on the inside. And so that's great.
Wow.
But imagine if you are, you're not very good at reading emotions. Imagine if you're just, you just can't see other people's emotions. So imagine having wearable tech, that tells people to calm down, slow down. You're about to have a heart attack, because you're elevate the stress levels and change your communication. This could be, again, game-changing technology in where there's conflict, not just in the workplace, but across all industries. So it's the fusion of clever AI, combined with, not just glasses, but with everything that's around you, really. It's a really interesting space.
So, and is there anything, just as a maybe maybe as a not so positive, but a final point to the discussion, is there anything that really scares you about AI that you think could happen, or what we need to make sure that we steer away from?
Yeah, I don't think. I think if you're scared, you're not educated enough. You just need to understand, what's available. It's moving at pace. We know that, and we know that it's accelerating. We're in a funny place as humans in that we've got this really clever tech, and if you read all the media, none of us are going to have jobs in the next 10 years. So learn as much as possible about what it is, adopt it in your day to day, and make yourself valuable. I'm not scared. I'm excited. I think, as a parent of 2 young children, I think something we've got to be very careful of is the critical thinking piece. Because all of a sudden, instead of having to think about the problem and think about a solution, you just turn straight to your large language model of choice and type it in. So there is a risk of people becoming lazy, or not being able to think critically. So I think, I believe that will change, as the education systems catch up with the reality of the situation. But yeah, I think that's the real risk, not so much the tech itself.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so we're up to half an hour on this month's session. So thanks very much, Jon. If people want to get in touch with you to, ideally demo EchoDepth, what is the best way for them to be able to do that?
So LinkedIn, so Jon Prescott, or email jon@cavefish.co.uk, so jon@cavefish.co.uk.
Okay, brilliant. So what we'll do is we'll post this video on our YouTube channel afterwards, and we'll also post it on our LinkedIn channel as well. So we'll tag you into that, if that's okay. So it just will make it easier for people to come and find you, and hopefully do a demonstration of EchoDepth with them.
Amazing.
Okay, brilliant. So thanks, Jon. Thank you. So next month, we have just confirmed that we will be joined by Jamie Thomas from AI Wales, and we'll be continuing the AI discussion there. Jamie's here today, so hello, Jamie, and thanks for agreeing for next month's session. We still need to confirm the date, but for those that have been following our Industry Insights series throughout this year, we'll publish details of that shortly. So thanks very much. And Jon, thanks again.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.